roar of engines shattered the quiet evening at a remote truck stop. A gang of bikers rolled in, their laughter echoing as they eyed the parked trucks and weary travelers. Among them sat a quiet, older man sipping his coffee alone. Dressed in worn jeans and a faded cap, he looked like just another trucker passing through. But they didn't know who they were dealing with. The bikers thought he was an easy target, a man who wouldn't fight back. What they didn't realize was that beneath that calm exterior was a battle-hardened veteran, a man who had seen more than they could ever imagine. Their harmless jokes turned into taunts, pushing boundaries they shouldn't have crossed. The air grew tense, and the truck stop fell silent, waiting to see what would happen next. One wrong move, and they were about to find out just how big their mistake was. The leader of the biker gang, a tall man with a leather jacket covered in patches, smirked as he approached the quiet veteran. He tapped the man's table with his gloved hand, knocking over the salt shaker. "Hey, old man," he sneered, "this seat taken?" The veteran slowly looked up, his eyes calm but sharp, silently studying the group circling him. He didn't answer. His silence only fueled their arrogance. Another biker chuckled and nudged his friend, whispering something about how easy this would be. But if they had paid closer attention, they might have noticed the scars on his hands or the way he sat, alert, steady, like a man always ready. This wasn't his first time facing trouble. The waitress behind the counter paused mid-step, sensing something was wrong. The air grew heavier as the bikers leaned in, unaware that they were inches away from making a dangerous mistake. The leader leaned in closer, his smirk widening. "What's the matter? Cat got your tongue." He taunted, knocking the veteran's coffee off the table. The mug shattered on the floor, sending hot liquid splashing across the tiles. The veteran didn't flinch. He slowly wiped his hands with a napkin, his eyes never leaving the biker. A few truckers sitting nearby exchanged uneasy glances, but stayed quiet, not wanting to get involved. The waitress nervously stepped back, gripping her order pad tightly. One of the younger bikers laughed and grabbed the veteran's worn military cap from the table, spinning it on his finger. "What's this?" "A souvenir from Grandpa's Army days." He mocked. The veteran's jaw tightened, but he stayed still. In the corner, a trucker quietly slipped out the door, reaching for his phone. He knew trouble when he saw it. But before help could arrive, the bikers were about to push things too far. The veteran slowly rose from his seat, his movements calm and deliberate. The room seemed to shrink as every eye locked onto him. He reached out, not with anger, but with a steady hand, silently asking for his cap back. The young biker hesitated for a second, then grinned and tossed it to the floor. "Come on, old man. Do something," he sneered. The leader chuckled, stepping even closer. "Maybe he forgot how to fight," he muttered, cracking his knuckles. But there was something unsettling about the veteran's stillness, like a coiled spring waiting to snap. Outside, the trucker on his phone anxiously explained the situation, glancing back at the windows. Inside, the tension was suffocating. One wrong word, one careless move, and it would all explode. The veteran's eyes narrowed slightly, and for the first time, the leader's smirk began to fade. Before the leader could speak again, the distant wail of sirens cut through the tense silence. The biker gang exchanged uneasy glances. "Cops already?" "Nah, we're just getting started," the leader growled, masking his hesitation. But the veteran's eyes didn't move toward the sound. He stayed locked on the leader, unshaken. Then came the twist. An 18-wheeler slowly pulled into the lot, its engine rumbling low. The door swung open, and a woman in her late 40s climbed out, wearing a leather jacket with a military insignia stitched on the sleeve. She scanned the scene with cold, calculating eyes. "Everything all right, Sarge," she called out casually. The bikers stiffened. This wasn't just some old man. He wasn't alone. The leader's smirk faltered completely now. Whatever game they thought they were playing had just changed, and the stakes were higher than they ever expected. The leader of the gang took a step back, sizing up the woman who had just arrived. The rest of the bikers shifted uncomfortably, their earlier confidence cracking. The veteran finally bent down, calmly picking up his cap and dusting it off. He placed it back on his head and turned slightly toward the woman. "Yeah," he said quietly, "everything's fine." But the leader wasn't ready to back down. Desperation crept into his voice. "You think bringing backup scares us?" He barked, but his fists stayed at his sides. The woman smirked. "Backup." She tilted her head toward the parking lot. That's when the bikers noticed more truckers stepping out of their rigs, silent, watchful. Some wore military patches. Others didn't need them. The gang wasn't outnumbering anyone anymore. The leader cursed under his breath, signaling his crew to back off. But as they turned to leave, the veteran called out, "You should think twice before picking a fight you can't finish." The gang retreated, engines roaring as they sped away. But just as the truck stop began to settle, the veteran's eyes narrowed on a nearby car. Inside, a man with a camera lowered it slowly, a sinister grin on his face. It wasn't over yet. The veteran watched the man with the camera drive off, a bad feeling settling in his gut. The woman walked up beside him, arms crossed. "Think they'll be back?" she asked. He shook his head slowly. "Not them, but someone will." The truckers who had stepped in quietly returned to their rigs, nodding respectfully as they passed. The tension faded, replaced by a quiet understanding among them. The veteran adjusted his cap, his eyes scanning the dark highway beyond the truck stop. "Some people don't learn until it's too late," he muttered. The woman gave a small smile. "Good thing we're still here to teach them." With that, they turned back toward the diner, the hum of engines blending with the night air. The road was never truly safe, but for now, the truck stop was calm again. And the veteran knew he'd be ready for whatever came next.